Brecon, foreigners. And have you been to West Swansea lately? Awfully nice people, terribly upmarket, rather laid back. I'm thinking of that area around the mills. Where I do come from is the mills. But down by there they do call it the mills. Terribly nice people, foreigners. And I want you to think about them because you can identify them here in Cannon Street, or in Taft Street, Ponty, or in the High Street in Merthyr. You can always tell the foreigners they have a glazed look about the eyes. And their mouths hang open in a very interesting fashion. Thus. Because, you see, they've asked someone the way, and this is the reply. Yes, or aye, man. See that gully there? And poor dabs, they don't understand it. So the message tonight is clear. Be kind to foreigners. And talk tidy to them, won't it? Now, in local speech, there is much that is warm, desirable, full of texture and colour. Standard English can't have this. And if you're in the slightest doubt as to what I mean now by Standard English, nothing to do with accent, and Wenglish, that marvellous amalgam of residual Welsh and what passes for English round here, which some of us call Wenglish, if you're not quite clear, let me tell you exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. First in Standard English, and then in Wenglish. In Standard English, one can say, gracious, I was poorly. I was having treatment for almost a year. And you can say gracious, or gracious, or gracious. The accent doesn't matter as long as they understand you. Gracious, I was poorly. I was having treatment for almost a year. But in Wenglish, it comes out as dear. I was bad. And foreigners think we mean B-A-D, and we don't. We mean the way we do feel in the year. Dear, I was bad. I was under the doctor. And foreigners think we are sex-starved. And thank God we're not. I was under the doctor for nearly a whole 12 months. Which implies the greater suffering, poorly or bad? Which implies the longer period of suffering, almost a year or nearly a whole 12 months. The warmth, the colour, the vitality, the texture are in Wenglish. And look at the lovely words we have round here when we don't feel up to the mark. And the thing to notice is that none of these words, as lots of others do, came to us from Welsh. These are words brought in when this area was the British Klondike. And they flocked in from all round, bringing their words and their language called English, and we took their words and gave them half a twist to make them sound like ours. Look at the lovely words we have when you don't feel up to the mark. You looking peaky this morning? To which there is a classic reply, damn my, I feel rough. You can almost feel the texture of that person suffering. And we haven't finished with that. Or you don't feel up to the mark, or you barred, or sick and barred, or barred with my legs, barred with my chest, and then it's getting serious, barred in bed. And when you're barred in bed, you're under the doctor. And when you are both barred in bed and under the doctor, and he prescribes something for you, we don't have much truck round here with words like pills and potions and drugs. We like to give our sickness a certain individual glamour and significance, and we are more likely to say, damn my, I was barred in bed for ages and under the doctor, and he put me on a course of tablets. Sounds much more important, doesn't it? We have other lovely expressions round here, like nasty pull a coffin. You can hear it, can't you? Or we can have a barred arm, a barred leg, barred back, or haven't he gone to look barred? And then, of course, there's that lovely one from childhood. It was said in hushed tones, and it meant the end was near. Poor Dab, he's sinking fast. Now, during the 30 years that I was away from my native heath in Abercynon, before I was allowed to come back and work round here, some lovely words have been allowed to disappear. And my back was only turned for 30 years. Lovely words like, don't cheat the gut. As we heaved and shoved to get into our finishing school, the Workman's Hall, Abercynon, on a Saturday morning, we said, don't cheat the gut. I've been Khyber, Henry Khyber to the uninitiated, they said, don't sharp the gut. Lovely word from Welsh. One of the words for an animal's tail. And if you've seen the shape of some of those guts, gone, gone. And now if you can't spell the French word which has taken its place, serves you right. Don't cheat the kill. And the lovely word of childhood, 30 years ago, if I'd impressed someone round here, the reply would have been surely, they're swanky. And there's a lovely swagger to that word. And although it's gone from Wenglish, it's still in Welsh. Mae'n swanko cryn dipyn, mae tipyn o swank ganddo. Now they would use a word that never was a word. And if you're interested how words come and go, think of this one. A word that never was a word, which became a word and kicked out that marvellous word, swanky, refers to the British Raj travelling with his Mem Saab wife to and from India, booking his passage port out, starboard home. P-O-S-H. There's posh, they say. And the language is diluted. And there are endangered species, not only in animals and trees, but also in words. And I have to tell you that the lovely word gully is an endangered species. Shame on you. Any fool could have back lanes, only we had gullies. Only we could have the gully to potch in. That is ours and nobody else's, and if you let it go, I promise I'll come back and haunt you. It's the lovely word kutch. But, oh yes, you're all looking very smug, but when I went away for those 30 years, it had 5 meanings. It's only got 4 now. You've let one go. When we went out in droves on the mountainside and the canal bank, and by what we still laughingly call the New Road, which was opened when I was a tot. When we went out in droves to pick blackberries, and we discovered a bush dripping with succulent fruit, what did we shout? Barkut, barkut, don't come to my kut. All together, barkut, barkut, don't come to my kut. If I said it in Abercynon today, the youngsters would wonder from which planet I just landed. But it still has 4 meanings. Keep them, pass them on to your children, your grandchildren. Starting with the call kutch, and the kutch under the stairs, which when I went away was the Kutch Dan Star, same place, coming from the other Welsh word kut, meaning a shed or a storage space. Cwtiair is still where in Welsh-speaking Wales you keep the poultry, and we made kut into kutch. Second meaning, keep it kutch for there. Hide it. Don't want nobody to see it. The Lord only knows where that came from. The third meaning, our dog, alas gone, born and bred in Bristol, lived with us in North Wales, South Wales and Bristol, when he felt like obeying me, which wasn't often, and I said, "Couch!" he would lie down. There I couch when owls do cry. Good Shakespearean overtones, and the French scholars amongst you, those from Trecunnan, will know at once that coucher is the French word. And then the loveliest meaning of all, couch up to your mum. Oh, warmth. Don't you insult me by pretending that snuggle and cuddle mean the same. Only Welsh people get couched. I have a mental picture of a child who is genuinely couched. It is a child nursed Welsh fashion. Yes, do join in. I know I've got... When the shawl goes round you and the little one, that's being couched. And talk of couch up to you, man. Wasn't it lovely as you grew older and discovered there were other adults to whom you might pleasurably... Do keep those lovely words, I beg of you, please. But I mustn't become so carried away with my love of local words, which I've declared, that I neglect to chronicle and put on record the horrendous, the slovenly, the comical, the awful in Wenglish, starting with the Ida syndrome. Yes, you all know it, the one I thought after 30 years away by now would be dead and decently buried. It's neither. It's alive and flourishing. You all know the Ida syndrome, the local habit of saying, I do have, and I do like, and may the Lord have mercy on our souls, I do. Having had the good sense to have been born and reared on the other end of the valley, I grew up with the apocryphal story of two ladies shopping in Ponty Market. Pontypridd, in case we have foreigners in our midst tonight. Two ladies shopping in Ponty Market, saying one to the other, pink I do like, but blue I do rather. But Deuce, oh Deuce, I do go scatty for it. It's no good cringing, you see, when you hear stage Welsh people, and the person to blame for stage Welsh talk is Shakespeare and his improbable historical characters like Llewellyn. It's no good cringing when you hear stage Welsh, so-called Welsh people saying things that you and I know that Welsh people never say, things like, indeed to goodness look you now. We will know that Wenglish has arrived when the classic of life round here comes to be written, and the hero says, "Da mai, I'm day's regular top bit." I do go there regular, and I do never miss a turn. Then we'll know that Wenglish has really arrived. And of course, the other example of the slovenly in local speech is contained in the true story of a child in one of our mid-Glamorgan schools, further east from here, where the Rumney River flows wide and free. That bit we pinched from Monmouthshire. And an infant child was given a packet of seeds to take home by his headmistress to plant. I won't bore you with the details, there was a very good reason. She met him a few days later, and as is the custom of infant head teachers, demanded of the child if he had done as he was bid. His reply is a classic of slovenly Wenglish. "Yes," he said, "I planted 'em down my gran's back." Now, in case there are foreigners in the nicer sense in our midst, should I point out at once that no portion of any senior citizen's anatomy comes into this story at all. Those who are laughing know exactly where he planted them. If he hadn't said down my gran's back, he would have said out the back. or up a mountain, or down the beach. And thinking about tobacco. Have you noticed how much meaning that lost with the increasing popularity of indoor toilets? Where have he gone? Or, further east in Gwent, where's he to? Out the back! There was only one possible rejoinder. Have he got paper? Because after all, whether it had roses round the door or not, it was the place where you read the news in squares. And then, something we have in common with all our Celtic cousins, all the people of West Britain, like the Highlands and Islands and the far west of Ireland, this confusion that exists between the name of a certain letter and its sound, as contained in the true story of a mother discussing her child's progress and saying, of course, like, see, he hasn't got the habit yet of sounding his H's. This is the land of HTV and HP sauce. But it's also the land of Audiel. One of the classics is, how the hell am I supposed to get out of there? So we have a certain ambivalence, ladies and gentlemen, between that letter, whose name, believe it or not, is H, and whose sound is ha. We seem to get our wires crossed with mother's milk, so I'm just pointing it out as I go along. And then, other things that cause confusion to foreigners. When we have gross overuse of a certain word, as we do around here, we use it to death. It's the word tidy. Think about it. I'll give you some examples. Now imagine you're a foreigner trying to understand this lot. How far's it, love? Tidy step back and forth. How many was there? Tidy fell. How long was you there? Tidy spell. Got a bit of money, have they? Tidy bit in the bank, I expect. And then the classic, acquired on the train. Yes, we still have a train to Abercynon. And I hope you'll have yours back soon, but we want 2 services to Cardiff. We want to be greedy. I had dashed off the London train, and the train for Merthyr was in, so I didn't have time to buy the Echo. So I had to indulge in my favourite pastime, eavesdropping, which is where I pick up all this material. By the way, let's have a really sad Something awful has happened. They've cut me off from my best source of material. They've closed Tesco's in Ponty! And I tried that superstore at Upper Boat. No good at all. Too many doors! I was eavesdropping, as is my wont. I was in luck. We pulled out of the General. Oh, they can put signs up saying Cardiff Central till the cows come home. And Caerdydd Canolog till the cows come home. It's the General. We pulled out and we got to Queen Street. 2 heavily laden ladies sank into their seats. And long before the train had reached Tapswell, they were going at it tidy. And I got this gem. What's he like, this new boyfriend of hers then, Glad? Oh, tidy fella. Tidy fella, turn his hand to anything. mind boggles. And then, of course, you hear classics like, now remember, talk tidy, mind. Or, I want it done tidy, no potching. Now, the foreigner thinks he's getting on rather well. He's managed to acquire Bayeux, and Bavare, and Gully, and those remarkable local greetings like Obi, Shumai, all right, and Aya. The Lord only knows where Aya came. You know that the Americans say hi and hi yourself. But when they meet, Aya! Aya, kid! How's tricks? Well, he thinks... He likes the look of us, if not the sound of us, and decides to settle amongst us, and he's got used to all those. And then, just when he thinks he's becoming confident, he hears, you haven't got yourself clean. Now go back and have a tidy swill in the bosh. Now we know that the Bosch was born when there was a ring of ironworks, now what is called the Heads of the Valleys area. And you know that when folk like my father and grandfather and great-grandfather left Dowlais because the ironworks were closing and they were coming to Abercynon where the pit was newly sunk, they brought the word Bosch with them. And we know that you can have a swill in the Bosch, you can have a quick swill in the Bosch, and you can have a tidy swill in the Bosch. And as long as you're only stripped off to half, you don't have to go to the bathroom, do you? But I do really want you now to have a moment's silence for the foreigner, because he's even acquired tidy and swill in the Bosch, and he knows all the gradations of tidy swill, quick swill, and a swill your hands before you have your dinner, and swill a teapot in the Bosch, of course, or down the lave. But then he meets the classic of all classics. And I have to tell you, if you haven't recognized him with his glazed eyes and his pendulous mouth, you now will recognize him, because after he's heard this, he develops a very psychosomatic limp, which I'm sure is a footnote in medical history, because this is what he hears. Don't give it to me now, give it to me again. Or, I won't have it now, I'll have it again. Now, foreigners are a funny lot. And they've got some funny habits. One of which is thinking that again means once more. Which it does, but not round here. And then he's feeling brave enough, because he wants to get rid of this troublesome limp, to ask, what do you mean? Don't give it to me now, give it to me again. What do you mean? And he's told, don't give it to me now, give it to me again, means, don't give it to me now, give it to me now, Jess. I'd like to close this first part with a conversation between two ladies from round here. I never try to guess ladies' ages, but I think they've been drawing their pension for some little time. And this is to start to show you, and I'll continue after the break, that Wenglish is not just words thrown about, but can sustain conversations, and in the second part, how it can tell stories. Here's a conversation between two ladies from round here. Hello, Annie. It's nice to see you, girl. Haven't seen you in ages. How are you, blood? How you keeping? You looking better these days? Yes, I am, girl. You know what's coming. But I was under the doctor. But I was under the doctor for nearly a Oh, I was bad, girl. And last night again, I was off with my legs all night. I'll have to go to the doctor with these legs of mine again. I'm trying to work out how she gets there without me. How are you then? Oh, middling, I suppose. I like you a new rig out. Like it, do you? It's my bit of best, see? Don't wear it every day. Mustn't slap it off, like. I had to go down Ponty to get it. Tried the cop first go off. But he was hopeless. Maggie Davis's girl was serving. I keep it, she is. Proper stuck up. Well, aye, girl, you know what I mean. Her mother was a Robinson from Lower Row. In school with us, she was. Ladies and gentlemen, there are experts who say, John, they still speak Welsh in the valleys, but now they speak it through the medium of English. In school with us, she was. A perfect translation of the Welsh form. In school with us, she was. She's a bit wit-wat. Always have been. Proper half-soaked. With no go in her at all. They just say, she's proper Dora Throundley. Wit-wat. South Walians, whether they speak Welsh or not, never like the... So, warrateg is said instead of warrateg, wit-wat instead of wit-wat. But Didorath is pure Welsh. And I looked it up in my Geiriadur Mawr, the big dictionary. Oh, there's a suck-in I had. All it said was feckless. And I thought, oh, Darrow, it would take a whole mouthful of English to explain. To say that she's Didorath is to say there's no shape on her round the house. There's no grain on her washing. And her husband, poor dad, do have to shift for himself. They just say she's proper Didorath round the house, but she's fit. And foreigners think we need... But we don't, do we? But she's fit. She'd get everything that's going, that one. Yes, you know her husband, girl. He's always potching with something in that shed of theirs out the back. Small little fella he is. Make two of him, she would. Make two of him, she would. He don't say boo nor bark in the flesh. Can't get a word in with her. I fancy he used to work on the line. Where I come from, no one ever worked on the railway. I fancy used to work on the line. She's not a bit like her sister. Not a bit like her sister Glad. Like a pin in paper, see? More up together like. And she's a da band with her Welsh cakes and pikelets. Anyway, this girl of theirs pretended she didn't know me from Adam. Must think I'm chup bosom. And that she's one of the crachach round here. She's got a twang you could cut with a knife. She's got a twang you could cut with a knife. Said they had beauties last week, but this week, nothing worth seeing in the old place. Typical of the cop. Only get things in dribs and drabs. I wasn't struck with anything there. There's no shape to them at all, and I told her straight. Anyway, what was I saying now, Jess? Oh yes, I had to slip down to Ponty Market. Wanted some rhubarb and gibbons for my tea. Gibbons, you know them, I know them. Shibbons, the Welsh word has become gibbons. Don't ask for gibbons in foreign parts, or great misunderstandings will arise. Let's bring on them, sir. Wanted some rhubarb and gibbons for my tea, so I found out every when the bus is to run. Because they're always chopping and changing. Then I pitched in, finished my work and cleaned right through. And so, going to Ponty, thought I'd try for a new outfit in that new shop they've just opened. You know, the one up the trip by the fountain. Saw it in the Echo. They'd a tidy few bargains there. And that's where I got it in the end. Real cop it was, considering. Has your daughter moved yet, Blood? No. Our Louie's with us for a spell yet, till their new house is ready. Be a tidy spell, I said. And of course it's all cowl cabbage. And of course it's all cowl cabbage. We live in through and through. Pity the poor foreigner. Because round here you can live through and through, or you can live in apartments, and round here you can talk through and through. We know what living through and through is, but I've never seen cowl cabbage, but it must be one hell of a mess. And of course it's all cowl cabbage we live in through and through. Those kids of hers are getting me down. Full of clecks about everything they are. Proper handful with it. Wilmonting in my chest of drawers, leaving everything shandy bang. Wilmonting, Wilminton, Willotter. Rummaging. Lovely Welsh word with a ch gone again. And if you don't know what shandy bang means, look at a drawer when a child's had a go. Leaving everything shandy bang, always coming in like the road after playing out the back in the gully. Think of the foreigner. He doesn't know we mean the colour of the road. Always coming in like the road after playing out the back in the gully. Achavi. When I do tell one of them to have a swill in the wash, all I to get is a mouthful. And then, of course, my daughter is on to me that I'm too fidgety. But fair play, I to get moithered, like. And I can't tutty down to see to I'm tidy. Because there's always something to do for them all the time. And they're forever parading back and forth, back and forth. After something all the time they are. I'm gone. I'm gone. I don't know which way to turn home. It do worry me no end, girl. It do worry me no end, 'cause there's one of them, he do talk like a sledge. I've never heard a sledge talking. He do talk like a sledge, but he's corkum. Get away with murder, he do. 'Cause they don't see half that's going on half the time. Ruined he is, 'cause they had a lot of bother rearing him. Spoiled him rotten they have. And the youngest, proper cracksy he is. Always grizzling about something or other. And of course he's into everything now. We got to keep everything touched from him. If you don't watch him, he's into the cold cuts. Every cupboard in the ool house. The cut stand starved. There's no end what he to get up to. I'm on pins with him half the time. I've got to have eyes in the back of my head. I got to have eyes in the back of my head. He's in his oils when he's potching with something or other and pulling the place about something chronic. He wangs me out, he do. And then that blood-curdling, oft said but mercifully rarely executed local threat. There's times I could hit him sick. It's worth saying again, all together. There's times I could hit him sick. But he's lovely, really. He's lovely, really, I suppose. And when I do see him sleeping, all couched up in bed, Joe, I could eat him.